Babadabadoo! Welcome back to another 3 ideas you probably haven't thought about. Let's begin. Number 1. There is no intelligence or rationality. What? What do you mean? Clearly there is intelligence, we can make logical statements, we can do this, that. What? But no. There is only brute force. Everything is simply brute force and memory. Somebody at some point in history just had to brute force something. Yes, even testing out can humans fly, jumping off some, cliff. But everything is brute force. So even our logical ideas and statements and everything is just testing with brute force. If it succeeds, memorize it. If it fails, memorize that, never do that ever again. And then we just pass on this information to future generations. And so, there is no such thing as intelligence. Nobody in the history of humanity has actually gone and thought about something and, oh yes, if I connect the dots, it makes all sense. No. Even that thinking and that logical process is a brute force process where you just simply test things. You test, does this work? No. Does that work? No. And then you somehow get it to work perfectly. And then you're like, boom, that's it. So everything, every piece of knowledge, it was never intelligently or any rational way achieved. It was brute force. Thinking through some possibilities and going through them and then happening to get on something that works and then memorizing it. Well, at least that's how the theory goes. But you can think of it as like a door with a numpad, those padlocks where you have to get the right number combination and there's like 10,000 combinations with 4 numbers. And in reality, that's how everything is. We simply have to test out one at a time what is the right combination. Now, of course, you can eliminate maybe a few thousand combinations with people just telling you prior things that they've tried. They tested that, well, you know what, we cannot fly, so don't jump off a cliff. And starting a fire probably should be a good thing, and not eating doesn't really work. And so on. So a lot of the combinations have already been tried and memorized and being passed down. But in reality, everything comes down to just testing the new combinations, and somebody somewhere gets it right and then tells everyone, yeah, this is what we should do. When we encounter this padlock, then just put this combination in. Or maybe there truly is no intelligence. There is simply brute force. That's just an idea, and maybe you can rationality and with some logic disprove it. Ooh, who knows? Or maybe even that's brute force. Number 2. Aliens will be ruthless. Ooh. So what does that mean? Well, think about it like this. As we can see in planet Earth, there is quite a trend for the more ruthless you are, the more dominant you are on the food chain. So for example, humans are the top of the food chain and we kind of do what we want. We hunt all kinds of animals and species to extinction because we feel like it. We're quite ruthless. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily a bad thing, but that is a trend that we can see. There's not a lot of pacifist animals out there dominating the food chain now, is there? So the more ruthless you are, it seems the more likely you are to dominate the food chain, be an apex predator. For example, most wolf packs and lions don't really fight among each other, but humans do. And that allows us to make new technologies to be even more deadly to other humans and, indirectly be more deadly to other animals as well, with the invention of gunpowder and guns and so on. The more ruthless you are, the more dominant you will be in the food chain. And so if aliens will to exist and they will to be the super dominant species who rules, for example, an entire galaxy instead of just a planet, it would be, at least according to this trend, quite likely that those aliens would be quite ruthless. It could be that they're factory farming all kinds of other species on different planets like we're factory farming animals. And maybe we don't want those aliens to show up. But who knows, maybe aliens are pacifists. But you know, if I really had to bet, seeing this trend in nature, it seems quite unlikely. And well, if you're wrong on aliens being pacifists, that's quite a bad bet to lose now, isn't it? But hey, what do you think? What will aliens be like? Number 3. Everything makes perfect sense. I think this is less of some abstract idea and more of just, if you truly think about anything for long enough, it makes perfect sense. And what I mean with that is that even though nowadays we look at a lot of things and a lot of traditions and a lot of things and we're like, why would that ever exist? That's so stupid. The people who invented this must be so dumb. But in actuality they were geniuses. And we're just the stupid one for not realizing. So for example, tobacco, cigarettes and so on. Like, we can nowadays say, why would anyone ever legalize this and allow this, and why would this ever be in any way in our society? I mean, what does tobacco even give us? I mean, and then you just get lung cancer and you get nothing, no benefits, nothing. You don't even get the superpowers. Like, why would this be allowed? But it actually makes perfect sense. I mean, well, when you go back in history and you think about the world wars, for example, it was actually quite convenient for us to have something that relieves stress quite effectively, even though in our civilian life it's quite useless. So back then it was a lot better if your soldiers weren't constantly anxious and super stressed, and that would allow them to perform better. And so tobacco was a norm that, well, soldiers used, and then that tradition just stuck around, and well, now we have all kinds of cigarette companies and so on. Another example is of course alcohol. Why would we have this poison and people voluntarily drink poison? I mean, literal poison. And you know, it results in all kinds of bad stuff, and everyone probably knows that. I mean, I don't think there's a single person who says, yep, alcohol is good for society. Yet, once again, if you go long back in history, it was. Because before water filtration and so on, it was a lot safer to drink alcoholic drinks than actual water because of bacteria. And well, we can go on the list forever. For example, other people look at the Napoleonic Wars and wars of that time and say, why would these people be in these long columns and in these perfect formations? Surely it would be better if they just go and take cover by themselves, and that would be better. But no, it makes perfect sense why they are in these nice columns and why they want to be like that and why everyone did that. And it wasn't some, oh, it looks better and we want to be glorious and honorous. That might be a small part, but mostly was because of cavalry. If everyone is spread out, then cavalry, which was the deadliest weapon at the time, would just pick you off one by one. But if you were in these blocks and together, and then you even probably had something like pikes or spears which you would use to defend against cavalry charges, the horses, well, being animals, don't want to commit suicide, so they wouldn't charge into those big columns. And so you could avoid cavalry, and well, that's pretty effective. So actually when you think about, well, literally everything, it makes perfect sense if you give it enough thought. And so the next time you look at the modern world and you look at literally anything, and you're like, why would anyone do that? Why would that be a thing? Why does this even exist? There is some reason that makes perfect sense at some point, even though nowadays it might seem a bit stupid. So let's not criticize everything and just call it stupid, and maybe let's give it some thought and see what could be the reasons behind this. But anyway, thanks for watching and have a great day.